Welcome back to the channel and Happy New Year, everyone. Today we are translating a disassembly of BAW 212, which is a Chinese replica slash ripoff of Land Rover Defender. It has origins even in Russian technology, Russian military Jeep technology, so to speak, and it has certainly evolved and it's fitting into 2025-2026 timeline. It's a modern vehicle. I personally love it. It's inexcusably rugged, a bit rough around the edges, but it does the job of being a super rugged, super solid 4x4 on a frame, which is very, very interesting. And as always, Klubniy Servis Moscow is doing what they do better than anyone else I know on YouTube anyway. They lift the body of the frame, they show you the underbelly anyway. Stick around and you're going to see all of that in a second. I also would like to welcome our new sponsors of this year to the channel, the segment that's coming right up. I strongly recommend that you don't skip it. Listen, not all of us are buying brand new vehicles or vehicles from a dealership. We are buying used vehicles and the market is saturated with them in 2026. Some say that depreciation happens during the first year of ownership. Some of you even say that it makes no sense buying a brand new vehicle. It's much better to buy a 1-2-year-old vehicle. Well, still, that vehicle needs to be serviced. It needs to be serviced regularly and it may have underlying conditions that may have not been addressed properly. This is where our sponsor GlovBox, that brings this video to you, comes into play. They can properly comb through the service history of the vehicle, put together a proof of service report for you to ensure that all your timing belts, all your cooling systems, all your other kind of things have been properly looked after. Here we are looking at a report for this Holden, Colorado, fairly old vehicle, a whole bunch of information on the risk summary that's put together for you. Very, very clear workshop verification tick, very clear indication of whether it's high risk or medium risk or whatever, the risk score here and estimated even upcoming costs. You can see attached photos of the vehicle over here, obviously, which is very, very handy in my opinion. Of course, exterior and interior imperfection modifications, all of these tabs are available to you. Very clear delineation of the overview versus mechanical risks, logbook, service data, common issues. We're not going to go through all of this just in this quick segment. It is just to tell you that the report is very, very clear and very, very comprehensive. Obviously, the older the vehicle you're buying is, the more valuable this report becomes. But even for brand new vehicles, 1-2 years old, they're still very, very important. You have seen a lot of my videos where I have struggled with some of the elements of our MG ZST, for example, where the whole braking system had to be replaced after the first year of ownership. What if I was a dishonest owner and tried to resell this vehicle without addressing this issue? Things like, service like GlovBox will address things like these. I think it's a great opportunity for you to make sure that before you actually sign that contract and transfer that ownership of the used vehicle to yourself, you engage with a service such as GlovBox. Thank you, GlovBox, for sponsoring this video. Please check out the link in the description below. In Russia, BAW 212 is currently being sold for the price starting from 3.8 million rubles, which is around 70k at the start of 2026, that is Australian dollars, which in the present crazy day and age is considered to be mid-range, not too cheap but not too expensive compared to many other vehicles available on the market. How is it similar to Defender, to Land Rover Defender? Well, if you're not blind, you will be able to see the classic Defender shape of the side panels that are kind of flowing and bending into the vertical windows, where the whole style is unmistakably borrowed from Land Rover. Chinese car makers are shameless but effective. Why reinvent the wheel or come up with something completely untested and brand new and unseen before if there are proven shapes, sizes and other kind of stuff that can be borrowed? In Russia, the roads are pretty bad. Yes, many are improved, especially in capital cities, but a vast majority, especially outside of Moscow, as you go further into regions, you get gravel roads, mud and so on and so forth. So 4x4 on a frame will always be a popular vehicle type in Russia and in many other parts of the world where the roads are optional or unavailable. I'm thinking South Africa, Middle East, or even our own lovely Bogenland of Australia. BAW is made in Beijing, and around 1960s this car factory was actually releasing their replicas of Russian UAZ, that military Russian Jeep that I've mentioned earlier. Rear axle looks almost identical to the classic UAZ 469. Ilya comments that this central part where access to the central transfer case is realized differently on American 4x4 vehicles such as Jeep Wrangler compared to here. Americans, they place a cap that can be removed to access the insides of this central knot of elements, and on Russian 4x4s it's a little bit more of a monolithic assembly, as you can see, with a few fitting bolts obviously shown to us, amortization springs welded right onto the axle bar, and a few other stabilizing elements on the sides. Welding seams are very visible, not hidden, definitely not too accurate or subtle, but solid. This, for example, lever and its fitting on the rear axle are of a more modern design, according to Ilya. On the side here, it's a big fitting of amortization piston and a few other arms very transparently and simply bolted onto other elements. He kind of just walks us through this whole knot of elements coming together into this rather basic but reliable construction of the rear suspension. Electrically powered handbrake mechanism. He shows us here that there is a little wire coming to it. Ventilated disc brakes are all of those extra elements, showing that this vehicle has definitely and clearly evolved and fits into 2025-2026. There are no leaf springs in this suspension used, which Ilya comments is a very rare exclusion by design on vehicles that are used for army needs, simply because leaf springs are cheaper and easier to install, maintain and replace. Let's just take his word for it here, shall we? Here they've dropped leaf springs and used spring coils. From the other side, looking at the rear axle, we can see very accurate, honest and solid fittings. Look closer at the bolts and how it all comes together. We are looking at electrically powered rear differential lock, again, not surprising, and the whole element is connected to the main driving shaft. I heard no criticism from Ilya in the original translation, in the original video, on how all of this is put together. He likes classic and accurately executed approach. Main transfer case here is labeled as Borg Warner, and we can see that all these little shafts and everything connected between multiple points of rotation. Ilya says that it's the first time he's looking at the whole thing, which is why he is giving us this brief kind of surface level overview rather than particular deep dive. There are not one but two arms fitted lengthwise along the body of the vehicle, and they connect the suspension of the frame, the suspension to the frame of the vehicle. Frame, of course, is quite obviously massive, protected. There are no openings that are exposing softer underbelly of the body of BAW 212. Fuel tank is massive, made of plastic, but it is also protected by a respectable steel sheet that's bent to size and to shape. It is all supported by this hanging kind of framework and some bolts, making sure that it all has no chance of coming undone or slipping during heavy off-roading. Ilya keeps looking for rust or anything else to pick on, for the lack of a better word, but he can't find anything here, and jokes that if Chinese car makers keep doing things so well, he won't have as much juicy content for us in the closest future. He continues to talk about how the ability to combine the best technological and engineering decisions in one product is a form of art, really, which in this case he admires quite a bit, frequently reflecting on what a shame it is that the Russian car market has not followed the same trajectory and technological progress as Chinese did. Moving on to the front axle and suspension. This front axle bar is also not independent and fitted on these massive arms, again connecting similarly this axle bar with the frame. We see fittings of frontal amortizators here, two piston disc brakes. Let's focus on these really thick ventilated disc brakes. Take a closer look. It's clearly done to prevent them from overheating, as well as giving them enough kind of built-in lifetime to not have to worry about replacing them in heavy use. Ilya shows us how the turning elements of the front wheels are assembled and fitted onto the front axle. Everything is made here of cast iron. There are no aluminum elements or any softer alloys, other alloys. Very thick metal, between 3 and 4 centimeters in most spots. It all suggests once again that it's a very solid construction and should serve many years in heavy use without any issues. There is no steering bar, there is a steering trapezoid that, according to our host here, is a more reliable and widely used solution that is used on heavy trucks and vehicles that are adopted in military. Military means most solid, hardest to break, and easiest to replace. He keeps showing us how suspension is fitted to the frame, massive connecting arms, everything is big and designed clearly for war-torn off-road conditions, really. Bolts, extra amortization piston, supporting steering elements. And once again, none of this is advanced or super modern technology. Everything Ilya shows, he says, is 100 years old. And all of this is very time-proven and very reliable. Before we look at the engine, let's take a look at this shameless massive bumper. Ilya says that some Chinese car makers are awesome because they don't bother with any modern regulations of making bumpers out of plastic to preserve something potentially that you're gonna hit, as they know that this vehicle is designed for most horrible off-road conditions, not to just clearly say war conditions or something like that, and might need to plow through the ground in the front. So bumper here is unapologetically made of metal, heavy as hell. Here you go. Quality, let's take a look at this part. It's a parking sensor that's fitted right into the metal bumper. So there is a hole with no gaps, nothing else, no creases, no seams there. Everything looks tight and intentional, where that sensor fits perfectly well into that designated hole. So he kind of takes a very respectful nod to that. There is no pulley installed on stock standard version of this BAW 212, but the fitting hole for it is right there, so you could unscrew the current cap and could install one if you really wanted to. Very modern, super solid. Ilya continues looking excited. When you look at the frame, you can see just how freaking massive and solid it is. It looks like the frame of Land Cruiser or a Chevy Tahoe, possibly, without a doubt allowing you to do some very serious heavy-duty off-roading. Fitting spots for the body are also very, very massive, those ones where this body rests on. Let's finally look at the engine. It's a big one, but it's a 4-cylinder turbo petrol engine that pumps out 230 horsepower, cast iron cylinder block, apparently very strongly resembling that of Japanese Mitsubishi Lancer, which is very suitable apparently for chipping, tuning, and rising that horsepower number, basically if you need to. Turbine is visible here front and center, all exhaust pipes are protected by many little shields on top, and Ilya once again digresses into bashing Russian automotive manufacturing because he's passionate about automotive progress, which can be seen here, but is sadly missing from the brand new present-day vehicles produced by AutoVAZ in Russia. BorgWarner again is shown as a borrowed technology, not Chinese. 8-speed automatic transmission by ZF is also here. Old design of the engine from Mitsubishi Lancer, all of this shows you that these borrowed modules come together into one cohesive and very solid off-roader without even necessarily originating from the country that assembles this vehicle. Another key thing to point out is that all of these elements are made actually in China. They are not imported from somewhere else, from overseas. They are licensed to make those elements, such as ZF transmissions or BorgWarner cases. They make them there. This is one of those extra amazing points, as it appears to be made really well. Ilya says no visual difference from the same original components that he has seen originating outside of China. Anyway, bravo. One bad thing, the first really bad thing, that Ilya could find and point out here is that this BAW 212 doesn't have a bottom outlet to flush antifreeze liquid from the radiator, which apparently, and again sadly, is that one single thing that Chinese car maker decided to keep from that age-old technology that this originates from, which belongs to the Russian UAZ vehicles. Why such annoying omission and such inconvenience for the servicemen who are going to have to deal with all this stuff just like they messed around here? Nobody knows. Now onto the hydraulic power steering mechanism that powers the steering trapezoid, obviously, that we've talked about when we looked underneath this whole thing. It's fitted and assembled in such a simple way that Ilya keeps exclaiming, calling out individual parts of the assembly that are beyond my Russian auto-mechanical vocabulary, but the overall point remains very clear. It's simple and reliable. So is there anything that's relatively idiotic? Well, yes. Ilya shows this weird fitting of the suspension piston to the frame that's positioned in this tube-like construct, and it's very, very weirdly done, according to him, as an auto mechanic with massive amount of experience, but it looks to me like it's not a showstopper, according to him. Next one. This is a solid cast kind of alloy wheel center, and on the outside he points at this ring that is fitted with those bolts. Apparently, normally these rings are fitted to push the tire onto the wheel firmer, not to let it slide off during the heavy off-roading if the tire pressure is reduced to go on sand or somewhere else. This ring apparently is supposed to be very strong by design and intent. Here, however, he says it's made of some plastic, and it's unclear how these bolts are actually fitted to the actual metal of the wheel, the central part, as they couldn't even unscrew those bolts and check it properly. So why this whole thing is there and would it actually serve its original purpose is unclear. But he's sort of alluding here to the fact that it probably is purely an aesthetic element that gives this more rugged and off-roady look rather than something truly functional. So this puzzle remains unsolved for now, but nevertheless it is present. Not everything is perfect, as you have already figured out, as some of the design mistakes are obvious, such as placement of this fuel pump on top of the fuel tank, while there is no hole or any other access door at the bottom of the main body or the cabin of this BAW 212 to service the fuel pump. So if something happens to it, servicing or replacing this pump will literally require this rather involved process of lifting the whole body off the frame in order to gain access to the top of the fuel tank where the fuel pump is located, which I'm sure you would agree is a pretty poor engineering decision. But overall, once again, he says that all of these are small problems compared to the overall success of what he has presented to us here, especially if you heard just how many times he compared this to the original technology and what is still being used in UAZ of 2025. And this is it, my friends. I hope you've enjoyed this translated disassembly of BAW 212. Like I said, I would love for BAW to come to our shows in Australia. I hope that they're available where you are, because it looks like a pretty damn awesome vehicle if your need for an affordable, solid, rock-solid kind of military-ready 4x4 on a frame outweighs necessities of luxury, of excessive luxury that, you know, I don't know, Toyota Land Cruisers and Lexuses are going to give you. But this thing is certainly looks nice enough to me, but as well as it's going to take you through all the mud pits and everything else that your harsher weather conditions or wherever you live might throw at you. So I really enjoyed it. I hope you did too. If you haven't liked this video yet, please understand that your likes matter. They matter to me motivationally, as well as they matter to YouTube algorithm, so it can show this video to more people. So please do not skip this and like the video and subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you next week or in a couple of weeks, depending on the interest in these videos, about something else value cars related in Australia and beyond. Happy New Year, goodbye for now.